And we are rolling. Cool, okay. Are you okay to this one? I think it'd be nice for you to do.
Yeah, a bit excited, Chris.
I know you're excited, but just got this and then I got it.
We're a track brewing, man. This is so exciting. I cannot believe we're here, man.
Cut. Stick to the script and just take it down 10%, bud.
No, I'd live it. Long-time viewers of the channel will know how much we love Track here, especially me. I love Track. I think Track are the best brewery. Oh my God, they're incredible.
Cut. You're doing it again. It's too much track.
Too much Track talk.
Too much track. Everyone knows you like them.
Track, give her a Track.
Paul.
It's just a brewery.
Action when you're ready.
Track.
Long-time viewers of the channel will know just how much track brewing means to us, Paul especially. So we've made the journey up to Manchester to sit down with the head brewer, Matt, to talk about all things hops and a bit of beer chit-chat in between. This is a new format for us and a new series that we're giving the snappy title, Hop Ones. So, let's go. Okay, Matt, so the idea is with this, you're going to talk us through 5 of your favourite hops.
Yeah.
First and foremost, before we get started, just give us a bit of background on yourself and Track.
Yeah, so I've come from a homebrewing background, been homebrewing for about 5 years or so before entering any contests or trying to become a brewer or anything like that. Around 2014, Track started. Sam, our founder, was a head brewer, accountant, delivery man, everything in one go.
As you have to be in the early days.
Yeah, producing fantastic beer. And I was working in a bar and buying it from him, basically, and really fell in love with Sonoma. And decided that he was going to be the brewery that I was going to approach to ask for a bit of work, if possible. 2015, I won national homebrew competition for the UK.
Nice.
And I've sort of realised that actually, if I'm going to do this, then I should try. And this is the time now. We should be going. So, yeah, Sam was nice enough to give me a day's work every week for a year or so before I went full time. And I was first full-time employee at Track. So,
Awesome.
Just touching on 8 years now.
So, we'll get started with your first hop.
No surprises with the first one, chosen Citra. We're fortunate enough to select our own hops now. We go over to Yakima in America, in Washington, and hand select Citra and Mosaic.
Yep.
And Citra is by far the biggest volume hop that we take. So for me, this is bright citrus notes, some lemon. It's got it's vibrant and it's got a loud voice, I guess.
Yeah, I think the lemony nature of that is massive on the aroma, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
it just smells so good.
Someone up my nose.
Yeah,
Deliberately.
So so really bright and fresh, zesty, and as I say, it's got a bit of punch to it.
Yeah.
So when we select our hops each year, some breweries, if they were selecting for their core beer, might say it needs to taste exactly like last year every single time. Whereas we're quite fortunate in a position where, other than Sonoma, we don't have a huge core range. So I can just go and pick the best Citra that's on the table. So, and it can be quite different to last year, but as long as it's got a big voice to it, there's no weird smells, and it's really punching, then we're going to take that one.
It's got
basically
quite big margins, but you're eating all those margins.
Huge one for us. It's about a third of our total hop contracting for the year.
Yeah.
And it's like a really nice base layer to lay some other hops over the top of.
What's the foundational beers for you? What got you into this style? What got you into craft beer?
So yeah, I worked in a student bar, did a bit of craft beer, did a lot of cocktails. It was a time where the UK craft beer scene was just starting to flourish. So Magic Rock came out, Siren had just come out, Thornbridge and Marble had been going for 5-10 years or so. But actually the beer that got me into craft beer was brewed by Quantum Brewery, which are from Stockport.
Oh wow. Okay.
Since closed, and Jay, the head brewer, has gone to work for Cloudwater over the road. Okay. And Jay would do single hopped 5.5% pale ales, and there'd be a new one every week, and we'd just take it every time. And it was a super alpha hop, which I've since never really come across.
Yeah.
But
I've never heard of Quantum either, so that's...
Yeah, they were very small, but like really good. And Jay was really playful with what he made.
Yeah.
And that was exciting at the time, because 2 years prior to that, the 2 cask ale pumps that we had at the bar were full of black sheep. So although it was very nice, there was very little choice. And then suddenly we were getting a new one every week. And these flavors that were coming out were so bright and sort of like forwards. It was just really exciting time. Coupled with that, we were getting a lot of American imports. But at that point, it was kind of like the new Sierra Nevada bottles were coming in, and you'd have Anchor Porter for the first time.
Yeah.
And those are the sort of things where you just suddenly, having drunk really cheap macro lager for a long time in my student days, suddenly there was flavour and different colours of beers and strengths of beers.
The gates open, don't they?
Yeah.
You realise how big this world is as well. But, especially when America makes its first appearance in your world as well. You think, Christ, how have I missed these?
Yeah, it really exploded in the UK, and then lots more breweries started to pop up.
So hop number 2, what we got?
Second hop here, it's quite a new one, New Zealand hop called Nectaron.
Oh.
Last year was the first year we've really got to use this one, and it's really exciting when you get something which stands out from the rest. We see quite a few new hops come in, but this one was really special. Sometimes you get new hops and you're looking for a lead hop, you're looking for something that might be able to stand alone on its own. We felt that this has got it, and we haven't seen one for a little while. Yeah, I get a lot of like stone fruit, sort of nectarine, apricot sort of thing.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got the kind of citra, big ronk aroma going on, but yeah, it's a little bit more subtle, a bit softer, I think. What would you be looking for in a Nectaron hop typically then? Is it the stone fruit? Is it the...
Yeah, with this for us, I think of flavors as like having like base notes and high notes maybe, and you kind of want a balance of both those.
Yeah.
I kind of lean to a more of a high zestier sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think this has got an element of that.
Yeah, it's kind of it's citry, but it's just quite mellower.
It's a bit more softer. Yeah, it's got like more fuzzy.
It's the first time I've ever done a bit of a weed.
Is it really?
I was just say weed then. Hop snorting.
It isn't.
But yeah, it's really punchy.
Yeah.
It can stand on its own. It plays well with others.
Well, I was going to ask that actually, because we've done quite a few hop tastings, in terms of trying different hops and single hops, and then hops mixed with other hops.
Yeah.
And there's dominant ones that absolutely bully certain hops.
Yes.
So, I mean, how do you, when you're doing your recipes, do you always bear that in mind? Do you kind of have your figurehead hops and then you kind of secondary players to it?
Yeah, I mean, so if I'm brewing with Citra or something, generally that'll be like quite a big base and maybe like 70% of the total hops. And I think of the others almost like herbs and spices that are going to give it a twist towards the end.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm going to mix hops, I'll definitely pick one lead hop, and that'll be way over 50%.
And then is Nectaron a good lead hop for you?
It can be. Generally, we've used it just on its own, because we've quite enjoyed just stripping it right back to do single hop things at the minute. It will go with others, but like, it's, as you say, really stone fruity, so it's going to go with other fruity hops generally. And most of ours go down that route, as opposed to herbal or spicy or some of those more old world sort of varieties.
So I mean, Nectaron is, it's obviously a relatively new hop, and it's hit the scene now, and a lot of breweries are enjoying it. Obviously, we're seeing it more in track beers now. Yeah. What other beers for you? What track beers are you most proud of?
Okay, we do a lager. It's a Helles called Arosa. It's very classic, sort of true to style beer. And it was the first beer that I made where my dad said, "Oh, I like that. I could drink that." And
that's the validation we're all after, isn't it?
Until that point, he sort of enjoyed what I was doing, but it's like, I'm not sure about this. But then suddenly, he was having friends around and he wanted some at home. And, I like to make beer for me. It needs to satisfy my sort of like curiosities and needs. But really, it's far more enjoyable seeing a whole room of other people drinking it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sat on your own. You want everyone to be into it, really.
One of our favourite styles in Dipper, the one that was the game changer for us, I think both of us, is the Gold Top series.
Okay,
I think. What is it that makes the Gold Top one different? Is it the lactose? Is that?
Yeah. So we're quite light with the touch, but there's lactose in there. It just makes it a bit sweeter, a little bit fuller in body. And there's something that's going on in there, which I'm not sure about, but there's something that it elevates the hops. It sort of maybe fills out the sort of flavours a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of gold tops. I mean, as Chris said, it was the first gold top I had was probably just cemented Trackers. As viewers will know, my favourite brewery.
Especially in a market where there are so many dippers out there, it's singular in the sense. So I don't think any other dipper that I've tried by any brewery tastes like it.
Yeah.
And maybe that is that extra element of what you throw in there.
Yeah, I think there are a few other people who put lactose in a dipper, but often they'll put fruit in it as well, or go full like milkshake. And we didn't really like that idea for us, so we stuck away from that. There's become an ongoing theme with the gold tops where, unknowingly, at the start, we were pairing some American hops always with New Zealand or Australian hops.
Yeah.
And then that became a running angle of like, actually this works.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to have both those elements in now. It's always a combination. We've never done a single hopped gold top. It's always been a mixture of hops, always normally Citra or Mosaic, along with some New Zealand or Australian hops. So I think Amy did an amazing job on the design. Amy's our in-house designer. And together we sort of worked out this branding of the gold top name comes from milk and traditional full cream milk.
The old days of a milkman.
Gold lid.
Put it on your door.
It's lost on a few people, especially if they're not English. But the design and everything else looks really good on a shelf as well.
It's branding within your own branding as well, isn't it? So I mean, they just pop off the shelves as well. You can, if I walk into a bottle shop, I could instantly see a gold top on the shelf. So great job, Amy.
Hop number 3 then. What are we going for now?
Another New Zealand hop, Nelson Sauvin.
One of your favourites,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of the star of New Zealand. Historically in the UK, really difficult for us to get. In the last 2 or 3 years, it's become more available, which is amazing. It's given us opportunity to use it more and more and more without being too. Before we'd have to be a bit cautious, a bit sparing because we didn't have too much to use. But it's an amazing hop. So
I'm expecting the smell on this to be very specific, as in immediately identifiable as a Nelson hop.
It's quite unique, I guess. So Nelson Sauvin. People say aromas similar to the wine, grape sort of
all day
lightness to it.
Yeah.
And then the other one that people get is like a diesel quality, like petrol-y.
Okay.
Yeah, I get a bit of grape and a bit of like gooseberry.
Yeah, it's grape. It is white wine grapes, as you say. And
That one almost is a bit more spicy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a spicy aroma to it. What about texture? I mean, do you expect different textures in these things, or are they ultimately feel the same?
Oilier, for
Do you
instance,
mean texture within your hand?
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting one. So when this is quite crumbly and soft, which means that it went through the pellet mill at a reasonably lower temperature, which is good because if it goes through too hot, then you sort of flash off the hop oils where all the aroma is. So, I mean, these things are packed with oils, and as they're forced through this pelletizer, it causes friction, it causes heat, and then all the aromatics get dissipated. So that's your first thing as a brewer. You're sort of touching it and going, oh yeah, this feels good. This is all right. Some of them are like bullets. You literally can't, you need a tool
I think that's what I was
getting.
getting. So you actually that's your first instinct when you pick up a hop. It's like, how does it feel?
Well,
that's interesting.
My first instinct is, that's really green. I think it's just a natural thing, but I find that appealing rather than brown.
Oh, so is that a bad thing?
No. So within harvesting of hop, the farmer has to pick when he's going to get them out the field. So you get early harvest, mid harvest, and late harvest. And obviously the late harvest go a little bit browner, but for certain varieties that can be the sweet spot.
Right.
And it's, I mean, they have like a 1 or 2 day window to get these fields out, and obviously the smaller the farm, the more likely to be able to go and do that. If it's a huge, crazy business, then that's going to be more difficult. So we're working with these from Freestyle Hops in New Zealand, who are really good and relatively small, like a boutique hop farm, I guess. And then they send us over lots to select. So we got 4 different lots of Nelson. We get to pick which one we're going to have, and then they'll send us that. So this year, for the first time, we've picked Nelson, Motueka, Rawaka, Peacherine.
Oh, Peacherine, that's a new one.
Yeah. I would be smelling Peacherine, but I don't have any.
I don't know Peacherine, actually.
No.
So that's another new one that we've literally just done a single hot double IPA with.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
The hops were air freighted over a couple of weeks after harvest, just to, get them over super fresh and try and make some noise with it. The New Zealand stuff in general has been so exciting recently.
It's just all the innovation seems to be coming from that neck of the woods at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Both with like the hop varieties, and then a lot of like hop technology with. They do this like liquid hops, sub-zero hop keef that's come from the
Seen a lot of that.
marijuana industry. But a lot of innovation.
When you hear that we hear the term, hop selection quite a lot. What we're doing here generally, like, giving it a good crunch.
Yeah.
Is that part and parcel, when you go over, is that part and parcel of what you're looking for?
So generally you'll go and sit down at a table and they give you 4 lots of whichever hop it is. So it's come from 4 different fields. And they'll be like, rather than pellets like this, they'll be like the hop flour before it's been processed. And then it's a case of, you're going to look at it, smell it, rub it, and try and figure out.
Oh, so you actually did the flour, not the finished product.
Yeah, you go do the flour. And
does it vary massively?
Yeah, it does. The aromas do change. And especially what you get here necessarily doesn't always translate into the beer as well.
Yeah.
So, you've just got to go with instinct a little bit and experience if you've built some up.
It feels like there's margin for errors. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like the flour is going to change when it becomes pelletized, and then
Yeah.
from the pellet it's going to change when it gets into the beer. So I imagine you've got that kind of sort of margin for error to say, we think it might go one way or the other.
So the first thing with selection is you get 4 lots, and anything you don't like, that goes off the table. You do away with those, and you try and whittle it down to 1 or 2. And then you're relying on your supplier doing a great job with the pelletizing and the transportation and keeping it cold, and then us doing a good job brewing it and then packaging it well. And then we give it to the pub, and the guy in the cellar has to,
Yeah.
It's this huge supply chain, and you have to surround yourself with people that you trust and know are going to do a good job.
Does anyone brew with hop? The actual hop cones anymore?
Yeah,
or is it,
so our old brewery, in the kettle, we were all whole cone, as it's called.
Yeah.
You touched on Oak and Citra earlier. They're all whole cone.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada in their brew house are all whole cone.
Oh, well, okay.
People still use it quite a lot, but ultimately it's bulkier, so storage becomes more difficult, and then they absorb more wort, so you lose. So it's inefficient, you lose liquid because it absorbs it.
I think it's that kind of debate, isn't it? It's when does tradition become a detriment?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think innovation is definitely I think what keeps breweries and brewing in general exciting, So it's interesting to see if that maintains actually the old style.
There's something to it in the beer. You can taste it in the glass.
Yeah.
We found what we enjoy is like a considered balance of different technologies.
Yeah. So we touched on New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leads us on to a question we like to ask all our brewers where we interview them is, what would you say is your favourite country for beer at the moment?
Germany.
Well,
So
okay. Don't think we haven't had a Germany.
Still, surprisingly so, actually. Yeah.
beer's only like part of the puzzle. It needs to have good like atmosphere, good pub, good environment. You could drink the greatest beer in the world on a train, but you might not enjoy it if it was out of a plastic cup and it was warm. I've had a few moments in Germany, and just when you just snuggle into the seat and you think I could just stay here all day long. But yeah, the brewery Tegernsee,
Yes.
out by the lake, looking over at the Alps, is just my perfect place. It's closely followed by the tap room at Augustina's Brewery, which isn't that far away. But,
nice.
But
we need to do that.
Need to get over there.
yeah, cask Helles. It's the one at cask, but comes out of a wooden barrel.
Yeah.
Pretty much cask. It's brilliant.
So, hop number 4.
Bit of a throwback. Got American Cascade. So throughout all home brewing, first 9 years of track, we never used Cascade. It just it wasn't new. It wasn't exciting.
No.
And we just skipped by it basically. This last year has been the first year we've ever used it. And actually, I kind of love it. It brings back thoughts of when craft beer started. It's Sierra Nevada Pale, isn't it? It's like all those classics.
It's a lot tougher.
Bit firmer, this one.
Yeah.
quite sticky. So we've been using this in a lot of West Coast Pales and West Coast IPAs. And it's just sort of like grapefruity.
A bit more savoury, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a bit more earthiness to that than the zing of the last couple we've tried.
It is tougher.
I get a bit of pink grapefruit, but it's really quite unique. I think when we've thrown it in, you just tell straight away. We did a single hop pale with Bagby just before they shut. And it was all Cascade, and it was just amazing. It's one of the brew team's favourites.
It's instantly that hit my nostrils. It just smelled like the West Coast.
Yeah, it's kind of part and parcel of the style, you know. Yeah. Cascade and Simcoe, I guess, are the two classics in that area. It's like delving into an old record collection, isn't it? And I'm pulling something out that, you know, from the 70s, like, oh, why have I never listened to this?
With regards to how tricky some hops can be, how about the ones that you've picked out so far?
Do they behave themselves?
Citra's very well behaved. Nelson can get a bit overpoweringly diesely. I feel like we've done okay with it. But yeah, it's just understanding what to expect. And so if it is going to be a bit maybe aggressive and harsh, maybe try not having it involved in the beer for too long, you know, maybe put it right at the very end of the process. If you're going to dry hop with it, maybe just put it in a day after everything else.
On that subject, I guess, in terms of what sort of advice would you have for home brewers out there, if you could impart some of your wisdom?
I think really the best thing I did was keeping it simple. So the first 10 brews I did were like scattered all over the place, you know, like a Flanders Red and a Helles and an IPA. And then I stripped it back and I was just like, I'm just going to try and consistently brew this 4% pale. And I'll play around with the hops, but you know, I'm just going to try and nail this until I can make a really good one. So yeah, don't overcomplicate things in that way, and then look after the important things. So the temperature of the fermentation is like, if you can control that, that's the number one improvement to make.
Right.
As soon as you can do that, then a lot of your worries go. After that, really just trying to keep oxygen away from the finished beer. Once it's finished fermenting, try and keep oxygen out of the equation the best you can. Depending on what sort of setup you've got, it's quite hard, but that does help improve things quite a lot. I went full spectrum with my home brewing, from very basic to I made it super overly complicated till I got annoyed with cleaning it all and stripped it right back to something which was maybe in the middle of just fermenting in a plastic tub.
So focus then, I guess, is your main takeaway from that one. So just focus on a specific style, get the fundamentals right. Temperature, oxygenization, make sure that isn't a feature, and then just focus on a specific style. And
make it manageable for you and your time and everything else, and then just close down on a really tight process, really.
Hop number 5, Matt.
Last one, we've got Motueka from New Zealand.
Yes.
As I said earlier, the New Zealand stuff's been really exciting for us. Quality is really high. You know, it's suddenly really readily available, and they're really playing around with the hop technologies as well. Motueka as a variety is really good. It's punchy, got some lime sort of zest going on.
Again, quite firm.
These are quite firm ones. Yeah, a little bit tough. It's really good, it's quite unique.
I mean, it's just, lime. It's just so dominant.
Yeah.
Lime zest.
Bar the Cascade, you're getting tropical notes from all of them, and then you can start blending them, and they all seem to play well with each other.
Oh man, that's
a really nice smell.
That's a great smell.
I think this is my favourite smelling one. I would say.
I like the Nelson, but it is really punchy. I just think this is a little bit more subtle, but you know, it's clearly. It's lime. It's overwhelmingly lime. It's great.
Does Motueka give it a? Because I've always known it's sort of like when you have Sabro beers, it gives them a kind of colour, or is that not really anything to do with the hops?
Yeah, I think I've heard people talk about it. I don't fully understand it, but ultimately, the hops can sort of change the colour to an extent.
Yeah.
In the more hop oils you get absorbed into the beer, it's kind of tends to make it look a bit yellower, a bit thicker. I've definitely heard of some of the American guys saying, we use X, Y, and Z in the whirlpool because they do this. I don't use that one because it goes too dark.
Right.
It's kind of, it's something that we're trying to sort of get our heads around. I think the trends in the UK, the trend worldwide really is that IPA should be really pale yellow. Currently need to be really thick and sort of like custardy.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just searching for that, really. You know.
Yeah. So track, we know what you do. We know what you do well. But have you got anything lined up for the future? What are the plans for track?
So beer-wise, we're just sort of looking to keep expanding our sort of repertoire, bring new styles in. We just try and brew every style as classically as we can, like to a really high standard. So, you know, if it's got the track name on it, you should be confident that we'll do a good job. You know, this is the new brewing site, and this is about as big as we want to get, really.
I was literally going to ask that then. So are we where you need to be in terms of scale?
Yeah, this is us, really. It's a balance of, we want to stay small enough that allows us to play and be creative and keep it interesting for all the staff, you know, constantly changing. Obviously, we need to be a business that makes money and keeps everyone in work. And we're finding that balance, I think. We're cautious not to shoot too high and let it run away with ourselves. We want it to be fun and enjoyable.